Last episode, I showed you what to carry. Today, I'm going to show you what they took away. 3 technologies. A battery that outlives your grandchildren. A material that makes the laws of physics look stupid. A communication network nobody can shut down. None of them are illegal. None of them are hard to find. They're just buried. Under 100 years of profitable alternatives. By the end of this video, you'll understand something. The most dangerous thing you can own isn't a weapon. It's a solution that never needs replacing. Part 1. The battery they killed. You have a battery problem. You just don't know it yet. Look around you right now. Lithium-ion in your phone, lead acid in your car, a GM in your solar backup. You think you're building resilience. You're building a graveyard. Every single one of those batteries has a death sentence built in, not by accident, by design. Here's what lithium-ion does when you charge it. Microscopic metallic crystals start growing inside the cell. Cycle after cycle, invisible, unstoppable. They grow toward the separator membrane. When they pierce it, internal short circuit. If you're lucky, the cell just dies. If you're not, thermal runaway. That's the technical term for your battery bank turning into a fire you cannot put out with water. And even without the fire, lithium sitting in storage for 5 years loses 20 to 30% capacity. 10 years, you have a brick, an expensive brick. Lead acid is worse. Every discharge forms crystals on the plates. Most dissolve when you recharge. Most, not all. The ones that don't, build up permanently. Sulfation, cumulative, irreversible. 300 cycles if you're careful. And the acid off-gases hydrogen. Let it freeze once, the case cracks. Done. So what's the answer? Keep buying new batteries every 3 to 5 years? Rotate stock like a warehouse? No. The answer was patented in 1901 by Thomas Edison. And the energy industry has spent a century making sure you forgot it exists. The nickel-iron battery. The Edison cell. Here's why it's different from everything else. The electrolyte is potassium hydroxide. It doesn't participate in the reaction, doesn't get consumed, doesn't degrade. It just sits there while nickel and iron do all the work. This means you can charge and discharge this battery thousands of times without killing it. Edison's original cells from the early 1900s, some of them still work. Not a marketing claim, a documented fact. Batteries cycling for over a century. Overcharge it. It vents and forgives you. No fire, no explosion. Drain it to 0 and leave it for 6 months. Lithium would be dead. Lead acid would be a paperweight. The Edison cell, you just recharge it. Full capacity. Freeze it solid. Thaw it out. It works. Leave it in a shed for 40 years. Come back. Rinse the cells. Pour in fresh electrolyte. Near 100%. Your children could inherit this battery. Your grandchildren could use it. So why isn't this powering every off-grid home in America? 2 reasons. First, weight. Nickel and iron are heavy elements. Same stored energy weighs 2 to 3 times more than lithium. If you're running, that matters. But if your battery bank is sitting in a shed attached to solar panels, weight is irrelevant. Longevity is everything. And nothing outlasts nickel-iron. Second, and this is the real reason, business model suicide. A battery that lasts a century is a catastrophe for a company that needs to sell you a new one every 5 years. $10,000 lithium bank today. Another in 5 years. Another in 10. 30 years. $40,000 spent. The company loves you. One nickel-iron bank. One time. It outlasts you. You are no longer a customer. And in an economy built on planned obsolescence, a permanent solution is a threat. You can still buy these batteries. Small manufacturers. Eastern, Europe, China. Not on the front page of Amazon, not in Home Depot, but they exist, and they will outlive every other battery you own by a factor of 10. Part 2. The material that shouldn't exist. The outdoor gear industry has been running the same scam for 50 years. Warmth equals thickness. Insulation means bulk. If you want to survive winter, look like a parade float. You believed it, because nobody told you the actual science. Here's the truth. Cold is not the enemy. Cold is just the absence of heat. The enemy is conduction. Thermal energy moving from your body to the air around you. Heat moves 3 ways. Conduction, through solid material. Convection, through moving air. Radiation, through electromagnetic waves. Traditional insulation traps air in tiny pockets. Air is a poor conductor. But if that air can move, you get convection. Warm air rises. Cold air sinks. You're losing heat. And if the material gets wet, the pockets fill with water. Water is a fantastic conductor. Your insulation just became a cold, wet blanket actively pulling heat out of your body. People die like this. Hypothermia. Fast. Quiet. The industry solution: more loft, more bulk, more layers. That's why winter jackets look like parade floats. But there is a material that solves this so completely it almost feels like cheating physics. The outdoor industry doesn't use it at scale, because if they did, you'd never buy another jacket. It's called silica aerogel, frozen smoke, because it looks like blue fog trapped in a solid. Here's what it is: a gel where the liquid has been replaced with gas. What's left is silicon dioxide, same material as glass, but instead of being dense, it is 99.8% air. The pores are measured in nanometers, billionths of a meter. A human hair is 70,000 nanometers wide. The pores in aerogel, 2 to 50, smaller than the wavelength of visible light. At that scale, air stops behaving like air. Molecules collide with the walls more than with each other. Convection breaks. Heat cannot transfer. The result: thermal conductivity half that of down feathers, half that of fiberglass insulation, and you can make it thin. 3 millimeters of aerogel equals 3 centimeters of down. Compress it, fold it. It doesn't absorb water. Performance doesn't change when wet. The classic demonstration: 1 centimeter thick aerogel wafer, hand on one side, blowtorch over 1,000 degrees on the other. The aerogel glows orange. Your hand feels nothing. NASA used this on the Mars rovers, spacesuits, deep-sea submersibles. It works permanently. It doesn't degrade. It doesn't compress and lose loft. It just sits there defying thermodynamics. Forever. So why isn't every jacket made of this? Because a 3 millimeter jacket that weighs 4 ounces and keeps you warm at -40 degrees and lasts 20 years without degrading destroys the apparel industry. Nobody buys a new coat. Nobody upgrades. One jacket, one customer, gone forever. They need you cold, every 5 years. But aerogel exists right now. You can buy jackets with aerogel insulation. You can buy raw aerogel blankets, pyrogel, cryogel. Line your shelter with it. Wrap your sleeping bag. 5 millimeters gives you the insulation of 5 centimeters of foam. The science is proven. The material is real. It just doesn't have a commercial. Part 3. The network nobody controls. Most preppers think they've solved communication. They bought a Baofeng handheld radio. $30. Feels tactical. Programmed in some GMRS frequencies. They think they're ready. They're not. They're carrying a liability disguised as a tool. Traditional two-way radios are point-to-point. You transmit, I receive. Mountain between us, we can't talk. Building in the way, we can't talk. More than a few miles out, we can't talk. The signal doesn't bend, doesn't route, doesn't think. And every time you key that microphone, you're broadcasting your exact location. Anyone with a receiver can hear you. Anyone with a directional antenna can find you. You're not communicating. You're ringing the dinner bell. And on amateur radio bands, encryption is actually illegal. Every word you say is public. The military solved this decades ago. Frequency hopping, encrypted digital communications. But that requires expensive hardware and infrastructure. You don't have that. So what do? The answer isn't more power. It's better topology. Meshtastic. It's not a radio in the traditional sense. It's a decentralized, encrypted text-based communication network running on the LoRa protocol. Long range. Every device is both a client and a repeater. No central server. No single point of failure. A mesh. Here's how it works. I want to send you a message. You're 15 miles away. Hilly terrain. No line of sight. Traditional radio. Done. Can't communicate. Meshtastic. My device sends the message to every nearby device on the network. Node on a neighbor's roof hops there. Node on a hilltop 3 miles away hops again. Node near the river. Node on the edge of town. Then to you. The network routes automatically. If one node goes offline, it heals itself, finds another path. More devices, stronger network. You can't kill it by taking out a central tower because there is no central tower. Every node is the tower. LoRa trades data speed for distance. You're not streaming video, text messages, GPS coordinates, sensor data. 5 to 10 miles in open terrain. From a hilltop, 30 miles. Line of sight, reports of over 100 miles. Power consumption, almost nothing. One battery can power a node for weeks, a small solar panel, indefinitely, and it's encrypted. AES 128 by default. Private channels with your own keys. No metadata, no triangulation. Invisible unless you know the channel and key. So why haven't you heard about this? Because decentralized communication is a nightmare for centralized control. Telecom companies make money owning the infrastructure and renting you access. If you build your own network, you're not a customer anymore. You're the infrastructure. Governments don't like it either. A network they can't shut down is a network they can't control, can't censor, can't tap, can't silence. So, it stays niche, stays in hobbyist forums, stays where the algorithm never sends you. Hardware exists right now. Heltec, Liligo, Rack Wireless, $30 to $70. Flash with meshtastic firmware. Pair to your phone. You're on the network. No subscription, no monthly fee, no terms of service. But here's the catch. One device, useless. 2 devices, encrypted point-to-point. Better range than any Baofeng. 5 devices in a neighborhood, you have a mesh. 10 across a town, resilient communication web. 50 in a region, unkillable. Network. The collapse won't be survived by lone wolves. It'll be survived by networks, communities that figured out how to talk to each other when the cell towers went dark. Meshtastic is how you build that network before you need it. Let's look at what we just covered. A battery patented in 1901 that still works a century later. A material developed for Mars that keeps you warm at -40. A communication network that heals itself when attacked. Before today, had you heard of any of these in a mainstream survival context? That's not an accident. That's a pattern. The modern economy is not built on solving problems. It's built on managing them, on selling you temporary relief that requires renewal. Every time a technology is too good, too permanent, too liberating, it gets quietly excluded. Not banned, not illegal, just kept niche, kept obscure, hidden behind silence and noise. The survival industry doesn't want you to own solutions. It wants you to rent survival. Physics doesn't care about their business model. The science doesn't care about quarterly earnings. Now you know these exist. What you do next, that's on you. Next time, the 7 locations every American thinks are safe. The 7 locations that become death traps in the first 6 hours of a collapse. You've probably been to one of them this week. Subscribe, hit the bell. I'm the Fox. Stay light, stay sharp.